Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping right into a story that's just, well, pretty remarkable in global sports. We're looking at the incredible rise of the Nepal cricket team.
Yeah, it's a fantastic one. We've gone through a whole load of reports, interviews, looked at the history to really trace how they went from, well, almost nowhere to the
hmm
global stage.
Exactly. And our mission here is to figure out not just that they did it, but, the specifics. How did this small Himalayan nation, starting with basically nothing in terms of infrastructure,
Yeah.
how did they manage to break through?
It's quite the journey.
And that initial contrast is just, it's stark, isn't it? We're talking about kids playing with, like, broken bits of wood on rooftops.
Improvised gear, dusty
And now
grounds.
they're facing and beating established world-class teams. It's a real story of grit.
Absolutely. Tenacity is the word.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We need to sort of set the scene first. Where did this all begin? What was the baseline?
Right. And what's truly fascinating when you dig into it is how recent this whole thing is, in earnest. You look at Nepal, say, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Cricket was, well, it wasn't really a thing. Completely overshadowed.
Yeah, the research makes that clear. Football was king.
Absolutely. Football ruled the streets,
Uh.
the squares.
Yeah.
That was the people's game.
And that's so important, isn't it? Because it means they weren't building on, a century of cricket tradition or some huge existing fan base.
Not at all. Back then, the sources are pretty clear. Most people in Nepal probably couldn't tell you the basic rules of cricket. It just wasn't on the radar.
So how did it even start to grow? Where did that seed come from?
It really grew from the ground up, literally, out of, I guess, necessity and just pure improvisation. Because there were no proper grounds, the passion just found other outlets. Kids weren't playing on lovely green fields.
No manicured pitches here?
Definitely not. They were using whatever space they could find. Concrete schoolyards, narrow alleys between buildings, and yeah, quite often flat rooftops.
I read this one anecdote that really stuck with me. It highlights just how basic things were. They weren't just using tennis balls, which is common enough. This account described players sharing one bat.
Just one.
Yeah, one single bat, all taped up, passed around. A collective thing they kept fixing because getting a new one was just out of the question.
Wow. That kind of scarcity, though,
Yeah.
it does something, doesn't it? It forces you to be creative. You learn differently when you don't have the proper gear, the perfect pitch. You get control on rough surfaces. You build resilience right away.
True. It builds a different kind of player.
And somehow, out of all that make, do, and mend, this serious dream started to take shape. You see it captured in that phrase they had, the ambition. One day, Nepal will play with the world.
Okay, so you've got the passion, you've got this driving dream, but how does that turn into, an actual team that can compete? Because sheer heart, while amazing, doesn't win international qualifiers on its own right.
Exactly. And this is where you have to look at the how, the mechanics of their success.
Yeah.
Because that early team, they just didn't have the big institutional backing. No millions in sponsorship deals like teams in, say, England or Australia. Not even close.
Right. So if the money wasn't there, what did they build on? We hear belief a lot, but practically, what was the asset? How did they get organized?
Well, I think it was kind of two main things. First, a really localized, almost self-managed structure. And second, they were smart about using what they did have, their own unique conditions. Plus, crucially, they had leaders, key people who basically demanded a professional attitude, even without professional pay initially.
And those leaders, they really were the architects, weren't they? We should name them. People like Paris Kadka, Gyanendra Malla, Sampal Kami.
Absolutely. Icons.
They weren't just players. They were doing everything, managing, coaching, finding talent. They took that raw street energy and shaped it into something that could actually compete.
And one really smart move, looking back at that early phase, was how they focused on spin bowling.
Ah, interesting. Why spin?
Well, think about the pitches they were playing on locally. Inconsistent, slower, probably quite dusty.
Right. Not ideal for fast bowlers.
Exactly. So they realized that mastering complex spin techniques could give them an edge quickly against regional teams who were maybe more focused on pace. It was driven by their limitations, but it became a tactical strength.
That's brilliant. Turning a constraint into an advantage. It changes the story from just raw emotion to actually smart, adaptive strategy.
Definitely. So every early match, every run, every wicket, it wasn't just playing. It was like they were consciously making history, proving they belonged. A tactical statement.
Which leads us perfectly into that first really big moment, the one that properly put them on the map.
The game changer.
Yeah, here's where it gets really interesting. All that strategy, that leadership, it paid off big time in 2014. That's when Nepal had its first major global breakthrough qualifying for the T20 World Cup.
And we really need to understand what qualifying for a T20 World Cup means for a nation like Nepal, an emerging cricket nation. It's not just playing games on TV. It brings serious financial benefits, global eyes on you. It opens doors, sponsorships, government finally paying attention, getting access to better coaching.
It's the validation.
Precisely. The key to unlocking that next level of development.
And the reaction back home. The reports describe something far beyond just a sports victory celebration. It was deeper.
Oh, the accounts from that time are incredible.
Yeah.
People weren't just happy. The whole country erupted like they'd won the entire World Cup already.
Yeah, I read about streets just jammed with people.
Flags waving everywhere, people celebrating, tears of joy. It was this massive collective moment. Proof to themselves and everyone else that Nepal wasn't just making up the numbers. It was a real movement.
A sporting movement, yeah. But then comes the hard part, right? Maintaining that momentum. How do you stop it being just a one-off, a flash in the pan?
That's always the challenge.
Especially moving on to faster pitches outside South Asia. How did they adapt?
Well, that 2014 qualification, it gave them the boost, the resources, to start tackling those technical gaps. The research shows a real push towards professionalizing further, focusing on things like better physical conditioning, which is crucial,
And pace bowling.
and, critically, developing a proper fast bowling attack, something they absolutely needed to compete consistently on different kinds of international pitches.
And you see that adaptation reflected in the players who came next, the next generation.
Definitely. Players like Sandeep Lamichhane, Kushal Bhurtel, Asif Sheikh, and Rohit Podel, the current captain.
They inherited that belief, that foundation.
But they combined it with, arguably, a higher level of technical polish, honed through more exposure.
Right. Lamichhane, for example, became a global star through T20 leagues.
Exactly. His success in franchise cricket around the world put Nepalese cricket on the map in a new way. That kind of visibility, plus the skills of guys like Asif Sheikh keeping wicket, it brought experience the first generation just couldn't access in the same way.
So it sounds like a successful handover. The founders kicked the door open.
And the next generation learned how to really operate, how to win inside that global arena, which sets up their most recent and maybe most stunning achievement.
The golden moment.
Which brings us right up to now, basically. And the event that really made the whole cricket world sit up and take notice, Nepal winning the Unity Cup in 2025.
Yeah, a truly historic win. But we should clarify the context of the Unity Cup a bit. This tournament was a big deal because it wasn't just about qualifying. It was a major multi-nation T20 tournament where Nepal showed they could dominate established test-playing nations and actually win the whole thing.
Lifting the trophy.
Yeah.
Not just getting there.
Exactly. That's a different statement altogether.
And who they beat in that final just ramps up the significance, doesn't it? The West Indies.
Yeah. I mean, the West Indies. A team synonymous with cricket history, power, flair. Giants of the game.
Beating a team like that, it feels symbolic, like a real shift in the global order of cricket.
It absolutely is. It's the ultimate proof of how far they've come. That contrast we started with.
From broken bats to beating cricket giants. Yeah. The source material nails that dramatic arc. It sums up 2 decades of just relentless grinding work.
And it completely shuts down any idea that this is just a nice fairy tale or a fluke. The analysis is really clear on this point. It says something like, this isn't luck, that's heart.
Right, but heart in this context isn't just about wanting it badly. It implies more.
What does it imply then?
It implies the years of strategic planning that led to that final. The fitness levels needed to perform under that kind of pressure, the tactical nous, the sheer confidence to execute complex game plans against players who, on paper, maybe should have rolled over them. It's heart-backed by serious substance.
That's such a powerful way to frame it. It's not about catching up by spending more money, but about changing the game through sheer smart determination under difficult circumstances.
Exactly. And if we kind of zoom out, connect this to the bigger picture. The Nepal cricket story, it's really more than just cricket, isn't it? There's a universal lesson here, I think, about how huge goals can be reached when you combine that inner drive with smart, adaptive strategies.
Absolutely. It really challenges the idea that you need massive budgets or long-established traditions to succeed. It shows the underdog can not just compete, but actually win by cultivating something different, that internal resilience.
And that quote, dreams don't belong to the rich or powerful. They belong to the fearless. That really resonates here. It's like a validation that this inner strength, this fortitude, especially when it's organized smartly, can be the great equalizer in any competitive field.
Yeah.
The sources really stress that national spirit embodied by players who just kept training, often in terrible conditions, kept believing they deserved a place at the top table.
Never stop believing.
Never
Yeah.
stopped.
So, what does this all mean for you listening to this? I think this story proves something crucial. Professional success doesn't always need decades of tradition. It can be built rapidly with adaptable structures and just fearless leadership, even where nothing existed before.
Creating something from scratch.
Exactly. So if a team that started with broken bats and no real pitches could rise up and shake the global elite, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are we maybe overlooking incredible potential elsewhere in all sorts of fields just because we're waiting for the perfect conditions to appear, instead of investing in that raw, fearless determination wherever we find it?
That's the provocative thought, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where else is that potential waiting?